In the tense aftermath of a fragile ceasefire, the world turned its attention to Tehran, awaiting the first public statement from Iran's most powerful figure. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei broke his silence in a highly anticipated address, setting the tone for Iran's next steps after a devastating conflict with Israel and direct US involvement. His speech, broadcast nationwide, was crafted to reassure Iranians, project strength, and signal Iran's resilience to the world. Khamenei's message. Iran endured hardship but emerged unbroken, ready to defend its interests and assert its role in the region. This address marked the official launch of Iran's post-conflict strategy, with global powers watching closely. Khamenei's central message was clear. A message delivered with unwavering conviction and aimed at both domestic and international audiences. It was a statement designed to resonate deeply within Iran and project an image of strength to the world. Iran claims victory, a declaration made in the face of considerable challenges and aimed at shaping the perception of recent events. This claim isn't just about military might, it's about ideological resilience and the enduring spirit of the Iranian people. Over both Israel, framing the conflict as a triumph against a regional adversary. This assertion carries significant weight in the context of long-standing tensions and geopolitical rivalries, and the United States, presenting Iran as a force capable of withstanding even the world's most powerful nation. This bold claim serves to elevate Iran's status on the global stage and project an image of unwavering defiance, despite suffering significant losses. These losses, though acknowledged, are downplayed in favor of emphasizing Iran's overall resilience and strategic gains. The narrative focuses on the long-term implications rather than immediate setbacks. He reframed the conflict as a test of Iran's resolve, a crucible in which the nation's strength and determination were forged. This reinterpretation aims to transform potential weakness into a source of national pride and unity, insisting that Israel failed to cripple Iran, highlighting the perceived limitations of the adversary's capabilities. This assertion reinforces the idea that Iran's core infrastructure and military strength remain largely intact and only survived with US intervention. This point underscores the narrative of Israel's dependence on external support, diminishing its perceived strength and autonomy. By highlighting Israel's reliance on America, Khamenei seeks to portray Israel as a proxy of the United States, further solidifying Iran's image as a defender against foreign influence in the region. Khamenei aimed to boost Iranian morale, fostering a sense of national pride and unity in the face of external pressures. This is a crucial element in maintaining domestic stability and support for the regime, and diminish his adversaries' stature, undermining their credibility and influence in the region and beyond. This strategic move aims to shift the balance of power in Iran's favor. He dismissed US claims of destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities as propaganda, designed to mislead the international community and undermine Iran's strategic position. Asserting Iran's core strength remains intact, both militarily and ideologically. This declaration serves as a reassurance to the Iranian people and a warning to potential adversaries. This narrative of victory is designed to unify the public, rallying support for the government and reinforcing a sense of national identity in the face of external threats. Deter future attacks, sending a clear message that any aggression against Iran will be met with a strong and decisive response, and signal that Iran's revolutionary ideals remain unshaken, reaffirming the country's commitment to its founding principles and its role as a leader in the Islamic world. Khamenei's rhetoric transforms crisis into national pride, turning adversity into an opportunity to showcase Iran's resilience and unwavering spirit, setting a defiant tone for future negotiations, signaling that Iran will not be intimidated or coerced into making concessions that compromise its interests. The message, Iran will not be broken by military force. It's a declaration of independence and a testament to the nation's enduring strength. This narrative is now a political tool, carefully crafted and disseminated through state-controlled media to shape public opinion and project an image of strength. for both domestic unity and international posturing, serving as a cornerstone of Iran's foreign policy and its efforts to assert its influence in the Middle East. In a fiery address to the nation, a key pillar of Khamenei's speech centered around a very specific event. It was an event that, in his eyes, redefined the balance of power in the region and showcased Iran's resolve. That event was his pointed reference to Iran's retaliatory missile strike on the U.S. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. This base, a critical hub for American military operations in the Middle East, became the focal point of Iran's response. With characteristic defiance, he boldly called it a slap to America's face. The phrase resonated deeply within Iran, becoming a rallying cry for those who felt the nation had been wronged. It was presented as a symbolic act of defiance rather than a decisive military blow. The intention wasn't necessarily to inflict massive damage, but to send a clear and unmistakable message. The strike served a dual purpose. Firstly, it demonstrated Iran's willingness and capability to act decisively in defense of its interests. Secondly, it showed Iran's ability to hit U.S. interests directly, challenging the perception of American invulnerability in the region. This served as a stark warning against any further attacks or provocations, signaling that Iran would not hesitate to respond in kind. Khamenei further emphasized Iran's advanced missile reach, highlighting the country's growing military prowess and technological capabilities. He then vowed to respond again with even greater force if provoked, underscoring Iran's commitment to defending itself against any perceived threats. He firmly rejected U.S. demands for surrender or concessions, portraying such calls as attempts to undermine Iran's sovereignty and independence. Instead, he framed Iran as a proactive power, not a victim, asserting its right to shape its own destiny and play a leading role in regional affairs. The slap metaphor, therefore, served to restore national pride and project an image of deterrence both domestically and internationally. It was a clear signal, intended to resonate far beyond the immediate context, showing Iran would not bow to external pressure or compromise its core principles. This calculated retaliation, therefore, was primarily about sending a powerful message, a message of resolve and capability. It was a carefully calibrated act, designed to avoid escalating into a full-scale war while still making a strong statement. Ultimately, Khamenei's narrative was clear. Iran can and will impose costs on its adversaries if provoked. In the end, the missile strike transcended its immediate military impact, becoming a potent symbol of resilience, defiance, and Iran's unwavering commitment to its own security and interests. Iran's response to recent events extended beyond mere rhetoric and diplomatic statements. The situation had reached a boiling point, demanding a more assertive and tangible reaction. Its parliament, the Majlis, took decisive action and voted overwhelmingly to suspend all cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. This was not a decision taken lightly, but rather a calculated move with significant implications. This suspension directly impacted the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear watchdog responsible for monitoring Iran's nuclear activities. This move effectively ended international inspections of Iranian nuclear sites, a cornerstone of the 2015 nuclear deal. The presence of IAEA inspectors had provided a level of transparency and verification that was now abruptly removed. This action dramatically escalated tensions in the region and internationally, raising serious concerns and renewed speculation about Iran's true nuclear intentions and the potential for a covert weapons program. Lawmakers argued vehemently that continued cooperation with the IAEA had ultimately failed to protect Iran's interests and safeguard its nuclear facilities. They cited instances where cooperation, in their view, had failed to deter attacks or sabotage attempts against Iranian nuclear facilities. The argument was that inspections only served to make its facilities more vulnerable to external threats and intelligence gathering. The bill was carefully framed as a necessary defensive measure, designed to protect Iran's national security interests. The stated goal was to reclaim full and unfettered control over all aspects of Iran's nuclear program, without external oversight. Symbolically, This decision signaled a profound loss of faith in the efficacy and reliability of international agreements and diplomatic solutions. Practically, it dismantled years of painstakingly built transparency measures, effectively reversing progress made in verifying the peaceful nature of Iran's nuclear activities. The decision inevitably increases regional instability and fuels global anxiety about nuclear proliferation, adding another layer of complexity to an already volatile geopolitical landscape. This pushes the Iranian nuclear issue back to the forefront of international diplomacy and security concerns, demanding immediate attention and a renewed search for a resolution. While the ultimate implementation of this parliamentary decision rests with Iran's executive branch and the president, the near-unanimous nature of the vote in parliament clearly reflects a hardened and increasingly uncompromising stance within the Iranian political establishment. Suspending cooperation with the IAEA now stands as Iran's primary non-military form of retaliation and a powerful message. It is a calculated move designed to exert pressure on the world stage and reshape the narrative surrounding its nuclear program. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf explained the decision, accusing the IAEA of failing to condemn attacks on Iran's nuclear sites. He argued that continued cooperation was illogical since it didn't protect Iran's scientists or infrastructure. Ghalibaf declared Iran's nuclear program would accelerate, free from international oversight. The bill sets strict conditions for any future engagement guarantees for scientists' safety and protection from attacks. This stance reframes the suspension as a defensive necessity, not aggression. Ghalibaf's message: Iran demands security before transparency. Don't. Russia, a key Iranian ally, responded with concern to the parliament's move. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov urged Iran to maintain cooperation with the IAEA, emphasizing that transparency is crucial for regional stability. Lavrov reaffirmed support for Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy, but warned that ending inspections could escalate tensions. He noted the parliament's decision was advisory, leaving room for Iran's leadership to reconsider. Russia's message, continued engagement with the IAEA, serves both Iran's and the region's long-term interests. Moscow seeks to prevent a wider crisis and nuclear proliferation. Lavrov's appeal highlights the delicate balance between solidarity and caution among Iran's allies. The 12-day conflict left a heavy human toll. Over 1,000 Iranians killed, including civilians, and 28 deaths in Israel from Iranian strikes. As the ceasefire holds, life in Iran is slowly returning to normal. Airspace has reopened, shops are back in business, and people cautiously resume daily routines. Yet anxiety lingers, the memory of violence is fresh, and political tensions remain unresolved. The international community is alarmed by the scale of casualties and the risk of renewed conflict. Humanitarian needs are pressing, and diplomatic efforts are focused on preventing another escalation. For ordinary Iranians, peace and stability are paramount. Their future depends on whether leaders choose diplomacy over confrontation. At the heart of the crisis is Iran's nuclear program, now more contentious than ever after recent attacks. The IAEA confirmed significant damage, but US intelligence says Iran's capabilities are not destroyed. Khamenei insists the program is peaceful and will continue now with less transparency after suspending IAEA cooperation. This accelerates fears of a potential nuclear breakout, as independent verification becomes impossible. The world faces a dilemma. Iran's next steps could either escalate the crisis or open the door to new negotiations. The fate of Iran's nuclear ambitions remains the central unresolved issue. The ceasefire has paused the violence, but regional tensions are higher than ever. Direct strikes between Iran, Israel, and the US have shattered old norms, making the Middle East more volatile. The suspension of IAEA cooperation deepens mistrust and complicates diplomacy. Yet the fact that a ceasefire was reached shows none of the parties truly want all-out war. There are tentative talks of US-Iran negotiations offering a possible path away from escalation. The international community, especially Russia and Europe, must play a key role in facilitating dialogue. The region's future hinges on whether leaders choose negotiation over pride and confrontation. The stakes, the stability of the Middle East, and the lives of millions.